All right, so welcome. I'm so happy you are here. And as I had just mentioned before starting recording, there will be a replay of this. So again, if anyone is late or just wants to rewatch this or wasn't able to make it, but here you go. I record for you. Okay, so we will get right into this. Again, hello, welcome, and we'll just get right into this because I have a lot of information here. And as I had mentioned again, off recording, I do respect everyone's time, so I just want to get right on into it. So we are here for the psychic and paranormal protection. I do want to say, just before we even really get into it, that again, for the sake of time, really, this isn't like, I mean, I have a lot of information here, but this isn't like, the end all be all, right? There's a lot more out there. And if you want me, oh, there's Tamika. So, and if you want me to do more of these, either in a class or I have my book, Paranormal 101, but if you'd like me to, have it in a more, like a book style, or you want any kind of content, any type of content that you want, if you want more of this, let me know and I will make it happen. Okay, so we're going to get right on into it though. Like I said, this is not the end all be all. This is not gospel, any of this stuff, right? So take what resonates, leave the rest. Okay. I had also mentioned too, hopefully Susan will watch the replay, but I was hoping Susan was going to be here as a paranormal investigator to kind of get her input. Hopefully, maybe she'll, for those who are, in the group, hopefully, maybe she'll have some comments or something to add in the group. Maybe not, we'll see. But anyways, so first and foremost, some may or may not see this coming, but number one, boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. You've probably heard me say this before, but boundaries, number one, hands down. Okay. Like I've got a bunch of tools and, like what are the stones and essential oils and all that jazz. But number one is boundaries. If your boundaries are weak, none of that is going to matter. Okay. So, number one, boundaries. So, if you have weak boundaries in your life, your ability to set rules or boundaries on an energetic level is compromised. Meaning, when setting conscious intention based boundaries to protect yourself from psychic attack, harmful energies, the paranormal, okay, those things will all just walk right through, right? So, some examples of weak boundaries look like, and this is with consistency. This is not just willy-nilly once in a while, okay? With consistency, allowing yourself to be treated like a doormat, or you allow people to walk all over you or take advantage of you, okay? People pleasing is a big one because you're setting your stuff aside to make someone else happy. Weak boundaries, okay? Issuing empty threats, uh, like I don't know, clean your room or you're grounded, and then they don't clean their room, but then you don't ground them either, right? Like just as an example. And or more so, if you don't start treating me better, I'm gonna break up with you. And then if you do break up with them, you take them right back and you do it over and over and over, right? Okay, so a lack of accountability or consequences when others treat you poorly, not respecting your own time and energy by putting other people's stuff ahead of your own, allowing someone to touch you even when it makes you uncomfortable. So this could be sexually or non-sexually. Okay, like I know for me personally, I get really uncomfortable when someone even like a friend, right, touches my shoulder and I'm not expecting it. I don't like to be touched. It really goes back to it for me personally. It goes back to a traumatic childhood where I was trigger warning, I guess, but I was molested by two different men throughout my childhood, and that energy is still. I don't like being touched without giving consent. Okay, so so that could be you as well. So it could be, like I said, sexual or non-sexual, okay? Allowing people to talk over you or for you, and not speaking up for yourself. Allowing others to invade your personal space. Forcing yourself to do something against your own values, morals, or ethics, especially when it's in benefit of someone else. Okay. Move this on over, make sure I can see the chat. Okay. So those are just a few examples. Like I said, not the end all be all, but those are just some examples. Okay. Now, to build up and strengthen your boundaries, okay, you must. Normally, I'm not someone who's going to tell you you should. I'm not someone who likes to should on people. But in this case, if you really want to build and strengthen your boundaries, you must value and prioritize your own sense of self-respect before anything else. Okay, I cannot stress that enough. Having weak boundaries doesn't just show that you allow others to disrespect you, but also that you lack self-respect, okay? When you have self-respect, you absolutely will not stand for anyone else treating you disrespectfully. You just won't, okay? Another one is follow through. So going back to no empty threats, right? Say what you mean what you say. So if someone, is treating you disrespectfully or poorly, and because step number 3, or I guess you could call it step number 3, is set up accountability and consequences, right? So if you set up those accountabilities, those consequences, and you say, again, just as an example, if you're with a partner and they're treating you with disrespect, and you're like, you keep doing that, I'm going to break up with you, and they keep doing it, and you break up with them, right? Do what you say, or say what you mean what you say, and then that's it, right? You can still forgive them and all that jazz, but you don't take them back, right? You got to mean what you say. Okay, like that's just an example. Okay, of course I understand there are, other things going on, children and all that, but I'm just talking about making sure there's follow through, no empty threats. Okay, and if you don't intend to follow through, don't make the threat. Okay. Okay, so again, not extensive. That one was just a quick one because, like I said, I want to try and make sure that we don't go 2 hours into this. So I'm kind of trying to keep it moving. But again, if you have questions, come off mute or put it in the chat. Okay. Is there any questions before I move on to the next one? No. Okay. And when it comes to the topic of boundaries, if you want me to do more content on something like that, let me know and I will do it. Okay. If you want me to if you really want me to dig into that, I can. But for the sake of time, for this one, we're just going to kind of move right through. Okay. Okay. So the next one is this even mine, and return to sender. Okay. So we may not, we may not always, I meant to say always, I put also. We may not always be aware of when we're being psychically attacked, or being unintentionally influenced by someone else's energy, or influenced either intentionally or unintentionally by a spirit. Okay. There can be an assumption that what we're feeling is our own stuff, even if we can't pinpoint where it came from. So we might even grasp at straws and try to explain it. Okay. So this is where truth testing can be an extremely helpful tool. Let's see. So does everyone here know what truth testing is? Is everyone familiar with truth testing? I mentioned it in a couple of classes for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. Oops. this. Okay. Okay. So this could be, so you could say, hey, truth, is this even mine? Right? If truth says, no, this isn't yours, we can send that energy back. And so that's where the return to sender comes from. So in that case, and it's very simple with return to sender. So you just, for me, and you can do it in different ways. For me, I like to just simply say, it's an intention, right? Return to sender, or return to sender with consciousness attached. And I snap my fingers, I tend to do this, right? Okay. I believe I did that in one of the Ascension, was it the Accelerated Awakening classes? I think I teach that. So if you're not familiar with it, you can check that out for sure. Okay. We can also use these tools when it comes to our childhood programming, in the sense of, hey, truth, is this even mine? Right? So, and it could be like, no, this was your, programming from, mom or dad or your grandparents or an auntie, or, what I mean. Okay. So you can always truth test to see if it's childhood programming and where it came from, and return to sender and all that jazz. Okay. So a couple of ways to protect ourselves from being influenced in the first place are strong, healthy boundaries, and specific crystals and stones. Okay, there's a few more things here, and I will get to exactly what those are. Okay, and I'm glad Tamika's here, because this next one was inspired by her. Okay, so she wants to chat about it. We certainly can. So meditation. So we're just rolling right through. Okay, meditation. Okay, so meditation is typically used to clear the mind and achieve deep inner peace, or as a visualization and healing tool. When guiding students through meditation, I always recommend sitting up straight rather than lying down so they don't fall asleep. But some use meditation as a sleep aid. So in either case, whether you want to stay awake or not, the meditator can be taken advantage of by spirits and non-human entities. Okay? When you're in a state of meditation, you're a wide open vessel primed for channeling. Yes, they can. Okay, whether you intend to or not. Okay. So I do have some recommendations here. Okay, so I recommend protecting yourself from this, as it can have an unpleasant and unwanted side effects. Okay. Before I do, Tamika, did you want to talk about that? You don't have to. I just thought, since this was inspired by you, that I'd ask.
No, you know what's funny that I think you have to tell everybody is that it was 3 something in the morning.
Yeah.
And for some odd reason, I've been waking up around that time, and something just was telling me to meditate. I automatically assumed it was my spirit guides. And each time I would be in a dozing off a little bit, and I would I would catch myself doing different things like my hand movement, and I would jerk out of it, and I'm like, what in the world is this? And one particular night I was doing it and I was half asleep, and my twins are 7. And normally when they call me in the middle of the night, if they do it, it's like a crying type. But this time I heard Tamika, and that's not like my kids to call me by my name. So I remember saying, I'm coming. And I started to doze back off, trying to meditate. And then I heard her yell my name, my son say, Tamika. And I was like, I'm coming. So when I went upstairs, my kids were knocked out. They were completely asleep. And I just thought that was odd. And I was like, okay, well, let me go back to sleep then, just in case. And I slept next to them just in case they needed me. And I just thought that was the craziest thing that I heard that. And normally in my culture, we say that's death calling. So I did get kind of scared, and I kind of stopped meditating that late at night, and I would try to go back to sleep. And then Liz will tell you the rest, that my spirit guides was trying to get in touch with me.
Yes. Yes. So before I go on to that, so before I go on to the recommendations, just to kind of talk about that. So yeah, so the fact that it was happening at 3 in the morning, in the sort of paranormal world, in certain religions. Sorry, Nicole, did you say something?
Oh, I'm just saying that usually 3 to 5 is the time that they'll wake you up if you're being attacked. is what I found.
Yeah, exactly. And so the 3 a.m. mark is typically like the 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. is known as the quote witching hour, if you will, and is often when I mean, when you speak of like say Halloween, right? They always say that's when the veil is thinnest, but really it's also at that 3 a.m. mark. It's when that veil is thinnest, right? So right up until that dawn, if you will. And so often, because that's when the veil is thinnest, but also in some paranormal beliefs that this is also the demonic mocking of the Trinity. Okay, so they come through at that time as well. That's one of the beliefs, anyways. And so oftentimes, yeah, those non-human and human entities can kind of come through specifically, and they come through oftentimes when we're asleep because that's when we're most vulnerable, or when we're meditating, right? We're also very vulnerable and open. So yeah, so we have, so that was happening as well. What else was there that I had wanted to mention? Right, and she had, with Tamika, so what was happening was there was a entity trying to attach to her, and at the same time, her guardians, her like guardian angels, spirit guides, were trying to warn her to disrupt that, right? So that's why they use their her children's voices to call her name to kind of to snap her out of it, and break that connection before it could really, because with, and I've mentioned this before too, specifically, well, it could, with non-human entities and even some human like earthbound entities, they'll plug in, right? So they literally attach to you. So what happens if you feel that you're to get up at 3? I'll get to that in a sec. I'll get to your question in 1 second, Tamika. So entities will attach themselves typically along your spine, right? But in your subtle body, right? You have the I'm blanking. Wow, my brain just went right out of my head. So they attach along the spine typically, and they quite literally attach that way. Okay, so her spirit guides and all that were trying to interrupt that process. Okay, so the fact that you keep getting pulled up to be, keep getting awakened at 3, I do have some recommendations here I think that are going to help with that. Okay, and you can let me know if it's going to. Someone trying to get on, yeah. So we'll look at look at these recommendations and then we'll go from there. Okay, so to start off, use an intention or an affirmation to keep unwanted spirits and entities away from you, and letting them know under no circumstances, again, strong, healthy boundaries, no circumstances are they invited into your energy field or your body. Okay, this is why you need those strong, healthy boundaries. If you have weak boundaries and you tell them fuck off, they're going to tell you fuck off, and they're just going to do it anyways. Okay. At the same time, call on your guardian angels, or your guardians, whatever they are for you. So guardian angels, I prefer guardian angels and the Archangel Michael, but use, if you have protective ancestors or what have you, okay, call on your protectors, your guardians, to protect you from harm and unwanted channeling. Okay. I also like to visualize a protective dome or bubble around me. This can be like an energy. If I'm going to use energy, I will usually choose the color blue, because that is the color of the ray of protection. Okay, and it's specifically when it comes to angelology. Okay, but it could also be like a force field. That used to be one for me before. I would have like a force field, like in Star Trek, like around me, so that if anything tried to like come in, they'd kind of get like zapped, right? And be like, ah, okay. But it can be anything that is that protective, that gives you that sense of a protective dome around you. Okay. You may also like to burn incense, sage, or Palo Santo for protection, and or protective stones near or around you. And I'll get more into like the specific stones and the incense and all that, that's kind of closer to the end. Okay. But I do mention it quite a bit here, so. Okay, so. And Tamika, if you do all of this and you're still getting bothered, let me know. Okay. Like message me.
I will, because it's just so odd that it's like I wake up almost every night at the same time. It's always between 2 and about 3:45. And normally it's like something be wanting me to meditate. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'm up and I'm not in a sleep state, but sometimes I'm very, very tired and I just feel a pull to meditate. And after that little situation happened, I try to force myself to go back to bed. So what I do now, I just play Candy Crush until I doze back off instead of meditating, because that kind of freaked me out. But when I wanted to ask you, so when I went to the store to get more dragon blood, because I had ran out around that time, the owner told me not to use white sage. He said that's almost like calling the spirits in. I was like, let me see. I was like, he gave me dragon blood, frankincense, and something start with a P. What do you call it? Panasano something.
Oh, the Palo Santo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try that and see if that worked. But I just thought, I always assumed that was my spirit guides telling me to get up and meditate. I don't know why I forgot about the witching hour. I just thought that was something to connect with them on a deeper level. So yes, I've stopped meditating that early. Well, early in the morning. I normally wait to 5 o'clock now.
Okay. And I would also mention too, because I'm just going to mention it really quick, that because you seem to be waking up at the same time, that could be a programming thing. So we can talk about that again off recording, just on our own, but that could be a program thing that's happening as well. So that's having to do with like actual like brain stuff, right? Not necessarily energy stuff. Okay. So but I'll get to that. I will talk to you about that another time, just because that specifically doesn't have anything to do with the psychic paranormal stuff. Okay. Okie dokie. Okay. So was there anything else that I had wanted to mention that while you were talking about that? I think there was. Nope, don't remember what it was. Okay, so moving on to portals. Okay. So portals are gateways into different worlds or dimensions and are both natural occurrences and man-made. So naturally occurring portals can open up in a space that is near water, such as rivers, or rests on limestone or ley lines. Okay. Man-made portals are often caused by a person or people calling on spirits to communicate and or summoning non-human entities via a ritual or communication tools such as Ouija boards, tarot and oracle cards, and pendulums. Okay. Anything that's a communication tool like that. I use tarot and oracle cards in my pendulum all the time, like on the daily, like all the time. Okay. So, and when I'm talking, I just want to interrupt myself there for a second. When I'm talking about Ouija boards, okay, I'm talking about those who are, I mean, you can do it as a professional if you wanted to, I suppose, but specifically beware if you're an amateur, okay, when it comes to the Ouija board, okay? Those low-level entities like to take advantage of amateurs using Ouija boards. So that's my really only, I guess, warning in that aspect. Okay, if you're someone who uses it often, if you're, like I had mentioned, I was hoping Susan was going to be here because I know Susan, as a paranormal investigator, has used them. But I trust that she knows what she's doing. She knows how to use it correctly, so that, low level entities and what have you aren't just coming through, right? I was hoping to ask her what her process was, but alas, she is not here. So I will say, just as a warning, that if you're an amateur, don't use a Ouija board, okay? Make sure that if you're going to use one, use one with someone who actually knows what they're doing, okay? Because when you're using any of these communication tools, Ouija board, tarot cards, pendulum, any of that stuff, you are going to open a portal you have to in order to communicate with spirit, whether you mean to, speak with a spirit guide or an ancestor, whatever. You're opening a portal in order to do that, okay? So, or even again with tarot and oracle cards, when you're trying to gain some insight into something. I know for me personally, and I'm going to mention it here, that I specifically call on archangels and angels and spirit guides of light to communicate. I make sure I'm very clear. Again, boundaries, only the ones I invite in are allowed in. Okay, and I'm very clear that they have to be, entities, right, of light, those higher vibrations, okay? No lower level icky things are allowed to come in, okay? Or even earthbound spirits, unless I'm specifically trying to communicate with an earthbound spirit to see what they need, okay? All right, so where was I? Right, so because I use them all the time, I make sure to only invite archangels, angels, and spirit guides of light to communicate, and I close out every session properly. Never leave the door open, okay? That's another thing that I found with specifically with Ouija boards, that if you're an amateur, you don't always remember to close it out properly, and then you've got a problem because now you've got an open door and things are just going to come through, okay? Anyone and anything will take advantage of that portal and come on through, okay? So make sure that when you're using any communication tool that you close it properly when you're done, okay? Never leave that door open, okay? And I also cleanse my tools with smoke and intention, like every time I use them, okay? So in my experience, if you're dealing with a naturally occurring portal, I have yet to find a way of closing down a naturally occurring portals, like ley lines, or if they're on limestone, or again, near water. There are ways to kind of, what I want to say, you can kind of protect yourself, your personal, like your body, right? But the actual space around you, I've yet to personally find a way to shut that down. Not to say it can't be done, I just haven't, so I can't share that information with you. Okay, so first, when it comes to closing down a man-made portal, okay, first determine, or let me reset. Okay, so first, determine if you're sensing a portal at all, okay? So for me, I know the temperature changes. If I have like a free floating or whatever portal, or if we have one coming through a wall or an object or something, okay, the temperature tends to change, okay? And I also, we all have psychic abilities, so I'll also tap into my psychic abilities to, feel for it, but they also tend to have, because it's a portal, it's a vortex, right? So it's going to have an energy. Okay, so I tend to feel like you'll actually like an energy, okay? But you also want to just make sure, so so if you're not quite sure, okay, you can also ask truth. Hey, truth, is this a portal? Okay. Or you can use a pendulum too. So it might, if there's a portal, it might, go around usually a portal will go clockwise, I think. But so the pendulum will swing around if there is one, okay? And it'll like go. Like it won't be something where it's just kind of like moving a little bit and you're like, I'm not sure. Like that sucker will fly, okay, if there's a portal. Okay, to close a man-made portal, I collapse it, okay? So I like to collapse it, and there are different ways. Like I said, this is not the end-all be-all. Do not take this as, gospel. If you know another way, please share with us. Personally, my way of doing it is I like to collapse it. So I will take it by its edges, and then I'll take both my hands on the outside of its edges, and then I will start to close that in, okay? And then close it in my hands, okay? And it won't go that fast. Like it takes a bit of time, okay? Some other ways, so you can also use ritual, smoke, intention, or even ask what it needs to close. So if you're trying everything and nothing seems to be working, you say, hey, portal, what do you need in order to close? Right? And then pay attention to your clairs. So you might hear the answer, see it in your mind's eye, just know, right? That just know, or you just feel like, you know, that's another, you know, I just feel like I have to take this action or say these, you know, words or whatever, right? So just paying attention to those. Okay. Okay, I know I'm a move-in, so does anybody have questions or comments, or do you have your own way of closing a portal or sensing a portal that I haven't mentioned? No. Okay. Oh, there was something there. Hold on. Oh, right. That's what I had meant to. There was something when Tamika and I were talking. I was like, there was something else. That's what it was. It was about the sage, and I will get to that at the end. But I do like talking about sage and all that. But white sage, for as far as I know, as I use it, white sage is more. I don't know why they would say it would attract entities. It's known to, in certain cultures, it's known to um, help them either, you know, earthbound spirits to move on, or it repels negative energy. In my experience, it clears stagnant and residual energy. It does not attract anything unpleasant. Okay. But I will get more to that later on. Okay, so mirrors as portals. So there's an old tradition of covering mirrors, specifically when there's a death in the home, as to prevent the person's soul from being captured in the mirror. Well before this, reflective objects and surfaces, including mirrors, were used for scrying, meaning, quote, to reveal. Okay, scrying was / is used to gain glimpses and visions of past and future events, as well as communicating with the spirit world. So there was a time, I believe it was really during the spiritualist movement in like the 19th century, where they had psychomantiums. And that's really, they were in a dark room, like a little dark room with a mirror and a candle, I think. And they would stare into the mirror. And they would either, you know, they would see spirits either coming through, or their face would change, or, you know, they would see visions of, you know, spirits, or again, the past or future events. Okay. So mirrors act as a liminal space, that being in between. Okay. As a point in between time and space, where spirits and entities can pass through freely into the physical world. Okay. Portals can be opened via scrying and other spell work, but also when you have mirrors facing each other. So creating sort of an infinity effect. And this causes the streaming energy back and forth between them. Okay. So you just have this constant stream of energy back and forth, and this can create that portal. Okay. And I've seen these not only in myself and in spirit photography and all that, but you see them often in TV shows. Like you've seen them a lot in like Ghost Adventures or Kindred Spirits or what have you. You see like they'll capture like orbs coming in and out of these mirrors, or sometimes depending on the tech they have, you can see like if you have a SLS, I think it's called, and they have like those sort of stick figures. They'll see like these stick figures kind of moving in and out of these mirrors. Okay. So my first recommendation here is to make sure none of your mirrors are facing each other. Okay. And if they are, move one or cover them. Okay. Okay. As a preventative measure, if you will. Okay. So it's rare for a mirror to open a portal on its own. Excuse me. Typically, action needs to be taken by a person for a mirror to open or act as a portal. But I've seen non-human entities and earthbound spirits use mirrors as portals, even without help from the living. Okay, these non-human entities and earthbound spirits were already in the space, and they just took advantage of the mirrors also being there. Okay, so so your space. So in one case, your space could be completely spirit free, and then you have you know, a mirror versus, you know, facing a mirror, and then on the other end of it, right, spirits are going to come through, and now your space is haunted, or the other way around, right? Space is haunted, the mirror's there, and they use it. Okay. Okay. To kind of move around. Okay. So where was I? In there. Okay. So to keep a mirror from being used as a portal, you can lock it. Okay. So I cleanse it with Palo Santo or sage smoke, then seal it with a protective symbol using essential oil or oils such as Palo Santo or frankincense. Okay. Now I will mention too, and I don't think I put it here, that it's also, it's not necessary, but it's beneficial to kind of know the origin point and the anchor of an open portal, of a mirror open portal. Okay, you want to know where these, because spirit, when they're going through a mirror or coming through a mirror, right, there's an anchor. You're using it to travel somewhere, right? And so if they're using it as a portal, it could be earthbound spirit, and they're just going in between here and beyond the veil. If it's something like a non-human entity, it might be traveling to or from, you know, a not so pleasant dimension. Okay, so that can be helpful. Not necessary, but helpful. Okay. Okay, so any questions? Because I know I'm moving. I'm going quick. Okay. Okay, so protecting the land. Okay, so this is also really important to know. Okay, so if your space isn't, so let's say you're concerned about moving into or living in a space that could potentially be haunted by either an earthbound spirit or a non-human entity. Okay, the thing here is, it's not just the walls around you. All right, it's the land that you have to be concerned with. For example, just as an extreme example, okay, if you, I don't know if you you may have heard about it from either Zach Bagans or other paranormal places, but there's a place in Gary, Indiana, that was once known as the quote demon house. Okay, Zach Bagans eventually buys it, but before that, okay, this place was supposed to have been, you know, haunted by or infested rather by like 100 demons or something like that, or something to that degree. And the place was wildly haunted. You know, the children were being possessed. It was a whole thing. Okay, I don't want to get too much into it because for the sake of time, but basically it's called the demon house because it was infested by demons. Okay, then Zach Bagans, they move away. Years and years later, Zach Bagans comes along and buys it so that he can do his own investigation there. He finds, yep, sure is haunted by at least one giant demon. He's almost blinded at one point, but he finds, yep, investigation says places infested with demons, haunted as hell. His solution, knock it down. Okay, so he had the house demolished. The thing is, he demolished it so that the house couldn't hurt anyone else. The thing is, it's not the house that was haunted, it was the land. So the land is still there, which means the demons and the portals and all that jazz is still there. He hasn't actually fixed the problem. Okay, and so that's why this is so important that you protect the land. Okay, so these are just some of my point form recommendations to help you protect your land, to either keep something out or, you know, to make sure that this is a preventative measure, but if you have something in the space, this can also help to not only get it out, but keep it out, okay? So one, it depends on the severity of this as well, okay? Keep that in mind. So you can visualize a protective dome or bubble around the land, not just the house, but the land, okay? I like to place specific crystals and stones, or you can have pieces like iron nails or something like that, but pure iron, pieces of pure iron, and place them in the four corners of the property. You can also, avoid creating man-made portals. That's going to help. Okay. And a personal protection ritual. So it depends on your spiritual beliefs or culture, all that jazz. Okay. Everyone, all the different cultures and what have you have their own rituals. So there's that as well. I also, because I'm an angelic witch, I often will bring in or call on Archangel Michael to also assist in removing any non-human entities. We can't force earthbound spirits to cross over, but if you have non-human entities or demonic entities, if you want to call them that, in your space, in infesting your space, you can call on Michael and to come and take them away. Okay, to put it politely. Okay. And sort of along in that same vein, okay, protecting your home or your space. So a lot of these are going to kind of repeat. Okay, so again, and I will mention what they are later on, but place specific crystals or stones or pieces of iron in the four corners of each room, okay, to create a protective grid. Okay, and so I like to do this if you can. So depending, like in this particular room, I place stones on the, what is it called? The door frame or like the window frame, right? But if you can, like there's not really a way for me to put it like a protective grid, but I do have stones over the windowsill and the door frame. If you can, put them in the four corners or you put them on the floor. I have cats, so if I put stones on the floor, they're just gonna play with them. Chris, you might hear my cat crying right now. Durgo. Okay, so you can put them either over the door frames or another one was putting iron in the ground and by the front and or back door. Okay, to keep that out. Okay, so you can also use smoke or sprays. Another one is keeping your place clean and sort of decluttered, right? So the more, I mean, that's also has to do with stagnant and residual energy, but it can also, if your place is like really nasty, it can attract like, not necessarily like demons per se, but like paranormal bugs, if you will, right? They come in and they kind of feed off of all that energy, okay? You can also use return to sender, right? So if it's like more of like a psychic attack type of deal, you can do return to sender, send that on back. Again, personal protection ritual, protective symbols, and I will be going quite thoroughly into that in a bit. Avoid opening man-made portals. Use visualizing energy. So another one that you can do, apart from just like creating like so we have that dome or a bubble around it. Another way is through energy, and I think I have that coming up, but I'll mention it now. So you can visualize energy too. So you can use Reiki to heal the space, or energy as in visualizing. I used to one of my older ones, I used to visualize like white energy, so like a purification type of deal. So I'd use the white ray and I would just kind of fill up the room with that energy to kind of clear out and purify that space. And I would use intention with that. So I would also use, so you would have the intention of, you know, making sure that it's cleansing stagnant, residual, and harmful energies or negative energy, okay, from that space as well. Okay. You can also use sound and vibration. And I did have a little blurb about that coming up. Okay. Okay. Breaking curses and hexes. So first and foremost, how to tell if you're cursed or hexed, like to see if that's even in play. Okay. So you can have a repeat of bad luck. So this is a consistent thing. It's not just like you had a bad day, right? It's like something that's prolonged and gnarly. Okay. Such as injuries, especially repetitive events like constantly stubbing your toes, falling down the stairs, tripping, right? Like you might think, oh, I'm just clumsy. But if you've got a few other things going on here, it might be a little more than you just being clumsy. Okay, so financial struggles, accompanied by feelings of drowning, unable to gain control, you're losing money or assets, okay? And no matter how much money magic you put out there, it just doesn't, you know, you just have that constant feeling of struggle, okay? In some cases, depending on where you're at, if you have a green thumb, I do not, okay? So poor soil, crops, or growth, okay? Now, again, like I said, I don't have a green thumb. I wish I did. For everything in me, as connected to nature as I feel, I cannot grow a plant to save my life. Okay, but that does not mean I'm cursed or hexed. Okay, so like I said, you have to, you know, see if you have a few of these things going on. Okay, it's not just that one thing. Okay, so ill health, or of ill health of yourself or occupants within the home or on the land. Okay, so feeling sick, nauseated when entering the space. So the space is cursed. Okay, because we're talking in this particular case, you can tell if a place is cursed. Like one of the ways, anyways, is that feeling of sick or nauseated. Okay, again, if it's just the one thing, probably not a curse. We got to be looking at how many of these are a yes. Okay. Fires, floods, electrical issues. Okay, and this is like a constant, consistent thing. No matter what you do, no matter how many times you have somebody come in and look at your shit, right? It just keeps happening. Okay. Things are constantly breaking, feeling, quote, haunted. Okay. Watched or unwelcome. This, I put in quotes, haunted, because this is in the sense of feeling like, it's not an actual like earthbound spirit or non-human entity. Okay, when I, in that sense of haunted. Okay, it's just that feeling like you're being watched and that you're unwelcome. Okay, so this could even be someone astral projecting, right, and just kind of keeping an eye on you. So finding dead wildlife consistently on the land. Crystals, pendulums, and glass take on a hazy or smoky appearance or shatter. Things falling off walls or shelves for no apparent reason. Again, that could be more of a sign of a haunting, but if it's like, but if you've done all the truth testing and you know, you could have even had paranormal investigator come in, a medium, something, and they come in and they say, no haunting, you know, no spirit here, no demon here, nothing. But these things keep falling off the walls and the shelves. That could be a sign. Okay. The house or the land cannot maintain owners for long. Again, could be a sign of more of like a non-human entity type of haunting. But if it's the land itself that is actually cursed, that could be why. Okay, there could be a little bit of a difference there. Okay, so you want to use kind of discernment here. Okay, and consistent for foreclosures or bankruptcies in the location. Okay, so that's another one too. So there are certain, I forget what it's, there's one in particular that's coming to mind that for the life of me, I cannot remember its name, but I've seen it on like paranormal shows, right? Where there's a specific bar that it has had multiple owners over an expanded, like 100 years, 150 years, whatever. It's had multiple constant different owners coming in, and the place is constantly getting, they're going into bankruptcy, and there's foreclosures, and there's all of this. Okay. And yeah, that could be a sign of if the owner themselves is being affected in a way where there could be a non-human entity, meaning they're feeling rage and depression and all of that. That's more a sign that there's a non-human entity haunting. But the land itself, right? If the owner is not experiencing any of this stuff, they just can't seem to make the business work, and it's over and over different owners, that could be a sign that the land is cursed. Okay. Okay. Oh, I've got so much more to go. Okay. So breaking. So breaking a curse or a hex. Okay. Specifically if it's on you. Okay. So breaking that. So first and foremost, claim your sovereignty over your body, energy field, and mind. Okay. Boundaries. Okay. So claim your sovereignty over your body, energy field, and mind. Okay. Make sure you have those strong, healthy boundaries. Clear the resonance loop attached to the person, place, or object by releasing any contracts, cords, projections, or ownership bindings. Okay. And I've talked about cords and contracts and projections. I believe a few times, but I believe I did an accelerated awakening class specifically on that. I also talk about them in my Akashic Records course on Udemy if you want to know more about that. Okay, so remove the charge or energy from each of the binding agents originally used in the work. Remove the cords between the creator of the curse and the affected object. Okay, so you pull that out. Go through the forgiveness process to finish removing the charge or the charges, right? That energy. This one can be a little, the person cursed you or they hexed you, that might be a little difficult, but going through the heart chakra, all right, to find that forgiveness, doing that work. Okay, and lastly, reset the area with sound, smudge, or smoke, rather. So sound, smoke, or perhaps ley line energy work. Okay. Okay, and then as I mentioned, with Reiki and energy healing, you can also brain just fell out again. So using that work to help with the protecting of the space, and clearing of the space, and protecting of the body, and clearing of the body, right? Using the white light for purifying or blue light for protecting. That's what I use anyways. Or using Reiki to kind of heal that wound. Okay, because curses and hexes can also kind of be like opening a wound, like creating a wound, right? So you can also use Reiki to heal that. Okay. Same with portals, that can also be viewed as like a wound. So you can also use Reiki to heal that wound, and that will close down that portal. Okay. You might want to truth test that though. Okay. Okay, and again with sound and vibrations. So this one's just a little blurb. Okay. So sound and vibrations created by objects such as singing bowls and tuning forks and even bells can cleanse energy and raise the vibration. Okay, so just a little blurb on that one. So I know I personally will use, I don't have tuning forks. I would love to get some tuning forks. I just haven't gotten them yet, but I do have a singing bowl. And I used to have a bell that for the life of me, I don't know where I lost it, which is how I ended up with the singing bowl because I couldn't find the bell. But what I would do is, and what I do, oh, okay, good night. Okay, so we have one that had to peace out. Okay, So I use singing bowls. You can use, again, tuning forks or bells, and I will use those and kind of clearing out and moving the energy um, and clearing out like non-human entities as well, right? To try and lift that vibration, but also, so I will typically go specifically into the four corners of each room as a way of sort of cleansing that energy. Okay. Now this is where we get real thorough. Okay. So 1 second. So this is where you may want to take notes if you can, because not all of this information will be available in the PDF that I'll be putting out in the group. Okay, like I'll have it more in point form, but if you want to make note of the details, you may want to do that now, because there's quite a bit of information here. You don't need to remember all of this information, but if you want to, now's the time to take notes. Okay, so symbols, sigils, and seals. So being an angelic witch, I call on Archangel Michael for protection and ask him to use his blue flaming sword to cut away any non-human attachments from myself and my clients. As those that attended or watched the replay of my masterclass on angels knows that when it comes to this subject, I am no fan of brevity, but I will try to keep it short and simple. So, and I will be bringing up a whiteboard in a moment to show you so that you can have the visual of these symbols and sigils and seals. Okay. But to start off with, I'm going to just talk about them just for a quick sec. Okay. Archangel Michael is thought to have been first mentioned in the first book of Enoch, chapter 10, but the first book is called the Book of Watchers. He also mentions them a few years later in chapter 20, estimated to date from about 300 to 200 BCE. And then again in the Hebrew Bible, also called the Old Testament, in the book of Daniel, written around 167 BCE, making him synonymous with the Jewish tradition. However, in the Talmud, I hope I pronounced that correctly, I'm so sorry, Rabbi Simon ben Lakish states that, quote, Israel took the names of the angels from the Babylonians during the period of the exile. So that's in about the 5th century BCE, where he was a prominent, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, chthonic martial deity called Michael, Mikal, whose name can be traced back to around at least 1600 BCE, 1,000 years before he is ever mentioned in Judaism. Okay. So Michael is also mentioned in the New Testament of the Christian Bible, dated mid to late 1st century CE to about late 2nd to 3rd century CE, as well as Islam's holy book, the Quran, dated 610 to 632 CE. Okay, so okay, so now I'm going to bring up the whiteboard so you can actually see some of the symbols that I'm going to be talking about. So like I said, believe me when I say I could go on and on and on, but let's just get to the symbols, okay? So let me bring up the whiteboards. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so let's make this a bit bigger so everyone can see it clearly. Okay. Whoa. Maybe a little less. Okay. Nope. trying to get it so that you can see the top part. Can you see the top part? Because I can't. Yeah. Maybe side gallery. That's a little bit better. No, you can't. Yeah, I'm not a fan of using whiteboards. I thought this would be a good idea, but right, self view, hide. I just go full screen. That still didn't help. Okay. So the standard. Nope. A little less. I guess that helps. Okay. Exit. Okay. Can you see it? The thing now? Open. Okay. Nothing but white. Oh no. Hmm. Okay. Let me close that. Okay. Oh, Nicole could see it. Okay. Okay, well, let me try again then. Yeah. Okay. How are we? Can you guys see it? Like at all? Loading? Okay. I knew I should have gone with the Canva presentation. Instead, I went with the whiteboard. I should have listened to that intuition. Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully everyone watching, at least on the recording, can see it. I also have it. Oh, Nicole's moving stuff. We'll put that there. Okay. So, okay, loading. Nicole, can you still see it? Yep, she can. Okay, so this will still be, hopefully you'll see this in the recording. I'll also have these symbols in the, I wanted to make sure that the symbols were going to be in the, even if they're point format, in the highlight notes that will be in the PDF. So you can see that hopefully then. I knew I should have gone with presentation. I shouldn't. Okay, but for the sake of time, because I've got still lots to go, and we're on time. Okay, so in this first one, we have the ancient Greek Michael. Okay, so in this first one here, oh, there we go. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. Okay, so one of the earliest symbols attributed to Archangel Michael was found on the inner thigh of a 1,300-year-old mummified body of a Sudanese woman. The tattoo, which spells out the ancient Greek characters Mixaha, which translates as Michael, was discovered by Egyptologists at the British Museum. I believe it was in early 2014. The tattoo is thought to be a protective biblical symbol representing the Archangel Michael. Okay. And then we're going to jump ahead to the 13th century, where we have Pietro. This is in Italian, so my apologies. Okay, so we're going to move on to this one here. Okay, if you guys can see that. So this is Pietro di Abanos. I'm so sorry. In his book, the Heptameron, a book of magic. Okay, not to be confused with Marguerite de Navarre's book, also called Heptameron, which is, I believe, a book of short stories. Okay, so this depicts the sigil slash signature of Archangel Michael. This is also found in Francis Barrett's book, The Magus, or Magus, written in 1801. Okay, then we have the seal of Archangel Michael, according to Joseph Tersham, as depicted in his 15th century manuscript, Shoshan Yosod Olam. So that's this one. And again, my apologies for trying to pronounce these things. Okay. And then we're moving on to here. Okay, and then we have in the 16th century, we have Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa, who wrote his 3 books of occult philosophy, and then revised it in 1531, give or take, where he depicts his version of the seal of Archangel Michael, which can also be found in Francis Barrett's The Magus or Magus, written in 1801. The English translation of Agrippa's work appeared in London in 1651. Okay, and then next, this one's really famous. So you probably even recognize this one because it's probably one of the most famous sigils. So okay, so we have the or the seal rather, not sigil. So we have the seal of Archangel Michael as depicted in the 17th century French Christian grimoire, the Grimoire of Armadale, that was later translated to English by S.L. MacGregor Mathers in 1980. Okay. And then last on this list is for this in regards to Michael. Okay, so we have these here. Okay. And where are we? Okay, so last on this list for Archangel Michael is the Golden Dawn's Rose Cross Lament, worn by the adepts, I think they're called, of the Inner Order. It is based on the Rosicrucian symbolism of the red rose and the cross of gold, and incorporates Hebrew letters. It's within the section, it's within that section with the Hebrew letters that we can draw out the sigil of an archangel using their name written in Hebrew letters. Okay, so that's what we have for Michael. Okay. No. Okay, so I do have a bit more here, but before we can move, for some reason it doesn't, maybe it does, I don't know how to move it, maybe. Page 1 of 1, yeah. Okay. So we also have the Nazar here, okay. So the Nazar, this evil eye amulet protects against the evil eye, aka psychic attack. So this is really specific to the psychic attack, okay, or the quote evil glare, if you will. The amulet can come in different colors. That depends on the region and culture, but the most common is dark blue glass with 3 smaller circles set within it. Those being a sort of like a white eyeball, light blue iris, and a black or dark blue pupil in the center. It is either flat and circular or in the shape of an eye when surrounded by an eyelid. So this one here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Where was I? The origin of the blue Nazar comes from Egyptian glazed mud, which contains a high percentage of oxides. The copper and cobalt give the blue color when baked. So, however, there was also a brief stemming from Greek philosopher Plutarch, I'm sorry, that blue-eyed people were, quote, the best at cursing others with the evil eye. Okay, with blue-eyed people being rare at the time. The belief in the evil eye has been around since somewhere between 7,000 and 3,000 BCE, so real long time. It's believed the giver of the evil eye does so out of envy or jealousy, and that the receiver of the evil eye is cursed, harmed, or receives bad luck. However, if you're wearing a nazar, this negative energy will be repelled from you and sent back to the giver. So like a natural return to sender sort of technique, okay? So that's one way of protecting yourself against the evil eye, is the amulet of Nazar, okay? And then we have the Hamza here. So the Hamza hand pointing upwards. So the hand pointing upwards is a symbol of, that's where it's protection, right? If it's upwards, it's protection. If it's downward, it's actually a symbol. It's still a positive, really positive symbol. So it's a positive symbol of abundance, positivity, and blessings. So even if you wore it upside down, it's still, right? But when it's right side up, okay, this is a symbol for protection. Okay, so Hamza means 5. So the image of the open hand was first found as an amulet among Mesopotamian artifacts in the temples of Ishtar, and has different meanings in various religions, cultures, and religions. In Jewish tradition, it's the quote, hand of Miriam, and Miriam is the sister of Moses. In Christian tradition, it's the hand of Mary, mother of Jesus. In the Islamic tradition, it's the hand of Fatima. Fatima's Zahra being the daughter of Muhammad, and is more a symbol of the importance of fidelity than protection, with the exception of the Nazar symbol, so the eye, being incorporated into the design. This is when it becomes a symbol of protection against the evil eye. In Buddhism and Hinduism, each finger of the Hamza hand corresponds to a chakra, and it's ultimately all about the flow of energy through a person. So it really, like I said, depends on the region and culture, religion, all that jazz. Okay. Then we have the Eye of Horus. Pardon me. So the Eye of Horus, also called Wajet, is an ancient Egyptian symbol of protection, as well as health and restoration. So Horus is the Egyptian god of war, protection, in the sky, who was born from the goddess Isis and god Osiris. Horus's eye is said to have been either torn out by his uncle Set during a battle, or that Horus removed the eye himself as a sacrifice to raise his father Osiris from the dead. Horus's lost eye was magically restored by either the goddess Hathor or by the god Thoth. The Eye of Horus is said to protect against disease and is meant to offer the protection of the gods. Okay. Okay, and there's more here, but I don't know if it'll. Okay, so you can see it a little bit here. I had to make it really small, so I'm sorry. So the next we have, which is pretty much universally recognized, as the cross and the crucifix in Christianity and in the Catholic religion. So I'll go into a little bit of detail here, but I think we all pretty familiar with this symbol. So Jesus, also referred to as Jesus Christ or Jesus of Nazareth, was a first century Jewish preacher and religious leader that is the central figure of Christianity, and Abrahamic monotheistic religion based on the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. Jesus was ultimately crucified by the Roman government on the orders of the Roman prefect of Jerusalem, Pontius Pilate. Christians believe that Jesus was the direct Son of God as well as the incarnation of God, and that he died by crucifixion as a sacrifice to achieve atonement for our sins. Christians view the cross as a symbol of hope, forgiveness, love, finality, and fulfilled promises. It's also used as a symbol of protection against, specifically against demons or evil non-human entities. One of the many miracles Jesus was said to perform was the casting out of demons from a possessed person. So Christians also believe that Jesus as God is so powerful that demons cannot withstand his power in name or symbol and are forced to flee in his presence. Okay, and then we have the pentacle. So for witches, Wiccans, and pagans, the pentagram, a 5-pointed star, represents the 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. When enclosed, when a closed circle is drawn around it, making it a pentacle, it becomes a symbol of protection. Now I will say, technically, the pentacle is a disc and does not have to include a pentagram, nor is it always a symbol of protection. There is quite a lengthy history to this symbol, but for the sake of time, I'll just leave it there. Okay. Again, if you're interested in learning more about that, let me know, and I will create that content. Okay. And then we have our Norse rune here. So we have a Norse Viking bind rune that represents protection. Norse runes find their origins in the Germanic Viking tradition and were also used by the Celtic people as a divinatory and magical tool associated with the traditional form of druidic divination. Bind runes are used as protective charms and for divination and other spiritual purposes. Okay, and then we have this one here. I wish I could show it to you. Well, maybe I can. I'm going to move this over so you can see it a little bit bigger. Yep. Maybe you can hopefully see that. Now, I lied when I said that I was done with Archangel Michael. Okay. So this is my personal protection symbol. Okay, it's the pentacle with a sword in blue representing, so this is sort of that combination because I'm an angelic witch. So we have this combination with the pentacle. So we got that witch there, and then we have the sword and as a symbol of the Archangel Michael. And then I have it in blue as to represent the blue ray of protection. So that's the one that I personally created. Okay. And that is all we have for those ones. I wish the whiteboard would have gone over better. I will know better for next time. Okay, I think that's all we have for that. Yes, okay, close the whiteboard. Okay. So you guys can see me now. The whiteboard is gone. Yes. Hopefully. Yes. Okay, good. Okay. We're done with that nonsense. Okay. But I wanted to make sure that you guys had that visual, so. Okay. Oh, we're getting close. Oh, we're getting real close. We're getting right to close to the end. And I was hoping to keep this at 90 minutes, and I think we're actually going to be able to pull it off. So now we're just going to boom, boom, boom. Okay. Actually, let me ask, do you have any questions before we get to the end of this? Right. The next thing that's coming up is the smoke and oils, and then some objects. That's all we got. So do you have any questions? Comments before we get into that? Nope. Okay. So we will finish up with this boom, boom, boom points. Okay. So some smoke and oil and essential oils that can be used to help in this protection, protecting your space, protecting yourself. Okay, so as I mentioned many times already, so we have Palo Santo, which is holy wood. That's what it stands for, holy wood. And you can get that either, like I have them in like the actual like pieces, little pieces of wood, right? You can also get it as incense or as sprays, and little essential oil tinctures, I guess. So you have Palo Santo, frankincense, myrrh, as Tamika mentioned, dragon's blood. We also have black sage, which is also called mugwort. And then we have white sage, which is, as I mentioned, more used for cleansing stagnant and residual energy. And then we have sweetgrass that promotes positive energy. So I think that's really important too, to just mention very quickly that as much as we want to sort of protect ourselves and kind of like repel, negative energy or, psychic attack, any of that stuff, we also want to be promoting positive energy, because positive energy in and of itself will repel negative energy. Okay. So I do want to mention that as well. So for example, well, I got my stones here too, but I will use sweetgrass to kind of promote that, that positive energy. And then I'll get to the stones and crystals in a minute. We also have lavender and cedar sage. Lavender, again, promotes positive energy, and cedar drives out old and negative energies, and helps to drive in positive energies, right? So it's not enough to just want to drive out or repel the negative. We also want to be promoting positive energy, okay? So, okay, now we have some, what about jasmine? I'm actually not sure. It may be. If that's something that you use. And I would also say, go with what resonates too, because I mentioned this in the stones and crystals class that we did, that to go with what resonates, not just what you're told. So I'm here telling you, frankincense and myrrh and Palo Santo, but if you use it and it doesn't work for you, but jasmine does, right? Take what resonates and leave the rest, okay? Okay, so to finish up here, some objects that can be used to protect, okay? So pure iron, as I mentioned before, so you might have, and I mentioned it, so we have either iron nails or, iron, if you have like a hunk of iron, I don't know why you would, but a hunk of iron, iron nails, iron horseshoes was a big one, okay? So iron can protect. We also have stones, and this is where I'm going to get a little more clear on the stones, okay? So protection against negative energy is, so you would use black tourmaline or black obsidian. Again, take what resonates, leave the rest. So in any of these that I mentioned, if you hold one and it doesn't give you that energy, but you hold another and it does, use the one that does, okay? So to remove implants and to ward off psychic attack, chlorite and amethyst. To protect against psychic attack and assist earthbound spirits to move on. So you have a combination of chlorite, ruby, and carnelian. To, again, guard against psychic attack, you can also use amethyst, aqua aura, or rudalized quartz, also known as angel hair. Okay, ruby, again, black tourmaline, tiger's eye. Okay, those all guard against psychic attack. Now, one of the ones that I particularly like is lapis lazuli, blocks and returns the energy to its source. So again, a natural return to sender. Lapis lazuli, return to sender, just a natural return to sender. Okay. And then ametrine, which is a combination of, like, it's a stone that's a combination of amethyst and citrine. And this is said to protect during astral travel It also relieves psychic attack. And oh, my bullet points were a little off there. Yeah, so protects during astral travel and relieves psychic attack. And again, going back to positive energy, because again, we don't want to just focus on repelling negative, right? We want to also promote positive. So positive energy is chlorite, selenite, rose quartz, and rhodochrosite are just a few. Again, there are many, but again, for the sake of time, those are just a few. Another protective, I don't know if you call it object, but another protective thing you can use, okay, is salt. So you can either have like a circle of salt around you, or you can put salt. I like to put salt on in my window, like in my windows. Okay, you could also put those like in front of your door, or if you have the, what is it called, the door frame, maybe put it across your door frame. Okay, so you have salt. You can do the same thing with non-chemically treated tobacco. And then for some reason I put it there again, the horseshoe. Okay, but specifically in iron. Okay, so because the horseshoe was originally, specifically the iron horseshoe, was originally used as a way of protection, whereas now it's more a symbol of good luck, which again, if you're gonna, I mean, good luck is still, right, promoting positive energy, so it's that, you can use that too. And that is it. Woo! Your girl got it just at the wire. Woo! Okay. Let me just take a quick sip here. A lot of talking. I can feel I'm losing my voice. So that was it. And like I said, this will be a replay if you want to come back and watch it. There will be like a more of a point form PDF that will be in the group. That's only access to those in the group. When it comes to, again, those symbols, I will make sure that those symbols are a part of that so that you can see that, just in case for whatever reason the whiteboard either didn't show up in the recording or whatever. So I'll make sure that those symbols are there for you. But we will wrap it up there unless there are any questions specific to psychic and paranormal protection. Okay, so we will wrap it up there then. If you do find that you have any questions or you have any additional comments, leave it in the group and I will get back to you, or you can message me on Facebook, okay? And again, I will get back to you. But I guess that, whoo, I can't believe, I wasn't sure there for a minute because your girl can tangent, okay? So I made sure that I really kept to it. Wanted to make sure I kept to that script as much as I could. Okay. So that is it. That is, I hope you found it helpful. I really hope you found something in that helpful. Okay, and I will thank you for those who are here, and thank you to those who are watching the replay. And that will be it, I guess. Okay, I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the group. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, whatever time it is for you. And I will see you in the group. Okay, bye guys.